Paul Rogers joins me now live from the UK for more on the Sirte strikes. He is Professor of Peace Studies at the University of Bradford. Thanks so much for joining us. Does the United States need to do this, not just to help Libya, but to ultimately reach the goal of defeating Daesh in the entire region?
I think the reality is the United States doubts that it can completely defeat Daesh or ISIL. Its concern is with the development of this movement in Libya, and in particular, as your correspondent said, the failure of the GNA-linked militias to be able to take control of Sirte. They found it much more difficult than expected, even though there's probability that Daesh has actually withdrawn many of its people from Sirte and basically infiltrated other parts of northern Libya. It may have as few as 1,000 left in Sirte. But the United States believes that such are the problems of the GNA-aligned militias that it has to come in with airstrikes. And as your correspondent in Washington said, these are primarily using armed drones, but there are reports that they're also using fixed-wing strike aircraft. For that reason, they also have an amphibious warship, the USS Wasp, off the coast of Libya, which could, for example, provide support if any air crew got into trouble over Libyan territory. This is, as your correspondent said, the start of quite a long operation. There is no expectation that this is going to lead to the defeat of ISIL, Daesh in Libya, but there is an expectation this might help limit its further spread and maybe even contain it in the key city of Sirte.
Now, the GNA doesn't usually ask for this kind of assistance. Why is asking for foreign intervention so complicated for this government?
It is the government. It's very unstable, but it is reckoned by the UN, recognized by the UN, so that in legal terms it is the recognized government. So the United States can respond with a degree of legal certainty to a request from the government. But to describe it as a government controlling the country is really a misnomer. And one of the problems is there are multiple militias, some variably aligned with the government at the present time. So it is actually quite a difficult situation, but the United States, in conjunction with its coalition partners, particularly the French, the Italians, and the British, believes that the situation in Libya is so unstable and the risk that ISIL could actually expand rather than be contracted, that has decided that it will actually engage in this further round of airstrikes. These may last some days, but it is likely they will continue intermittently during the course of the next 2 to 3 months. As I say, there is evidence that ISIL has already seen this coming and is starting to disperse its people into some of the other towns and cities where it has influence. But it'll become clearer in the next week or so whether this particular round of airstrikes has had any real effect on the taking of territory in Sirte by GNA-aligned forces.
Okay, Paul Rogers, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insight from Bradford.